Hello everyone, Beastie here, and back with another video. I talked about the patch preview notes, a little bit of my stream. Didn't end up uploading it on YouTube because it was very short. But here we are, the patch is out. So this is something a lot of people, including me, did not expect it would come out this fast. Unless I missed it, there wasn't any date announced by Blizzard when the patch is coming out. But today, on January 22nd, the patch is live on NA server, and then 23rd, when you guys will be seeing this video, the patch will be live for EU as well. So, patch notes, we're going to go quickly through them and kind of discuss what's new, what to expect, what you guys can expect in your own games, no matter what race you are. And I'll also be mentioning DeepMind a little bit, because there's an update for that as well. I'll explain kind of what DeepMind is. So, general, the first season of 2019 has officially begun. A new trophy top has been added for those that win tournaments in the new season. I gotta win one of those to see what it's actually about, because there's no pictures, no nothing, so I don't know how it looks like. So if you're watching live on stream, let me know and remind me to do this, please, because I will forget. Now, the first interesting thing already happening right here. New features have been added to the WCS Game Hard extension mod. The mod will now automatically prevent skins from being displayed for players. Now, I don't like this. As a player, I like seeing the skins when I play the games. I play with the skins on stream all the time, right? Like whether I'm playing Protoss, Zerg, or Terran, I enjoy playing with those skins. Like you bought it, you support Blizzard, right? So I like to be able to see and use those skins. But now if you're playing any kind of official tournament, when someone hosts a game with this mod, you'll basically, as a player, you will not be able to see the skins in game. And then the second thing, it says skins will be visible to observers. Now this is something I'm wondering, because we never got the official explanation from Blizzard. So I don't know if you guys know, some of you might not follow esports StarCraft, but basically when you're playing a WCS tournament or qualifiers, you're not allowed to have skins on. And we never got the explanation why that is, but because of this, and Blizzard is adding like their own WCS Game Hard, right, for extension mod, which makes it so that the players don't see the skin. It seems that the reason why this rule was in the WCS rulebook is so that the players, when they're playing the game, they wouldn't be confused by the skins, because some of the units are harder to see and recognize. A good example of this is Stalkers and Immortals. In some specific skins look almost exactly the same. But I always found it weird that, Blizzard is selling war chests, selling all these skins, but their players are not allowed to use them in tournaments. So with this mod, basically, you guys watching on stream will be able to see the skins together with casters, but players will not. So I guess that was the official reason, which I found really weird, because, we had skins for a while now, for 2 years, 3 years, right? Maybe even longer, and we were never able to see those skins in game. So as far as that goes, I'm happy that we'll finally be able to see skins on stream, and see skins being used by the players. But I kind of find it weird that the mod kind of forces the prevention of the skins from being displayed for players. I think there's a lot of easier way to fix this. Just add an option in game, disable skins, turn on skins, and then basically whenever you're playing the game, you will either have all the skins disabled, or you will have whatever skins enabled that you or your opponents are using. But that's just me. I would actually love to hear your guys' opinion on this, because, yeah, why would players turn on skins in the first place if they don't see the skins themselves in the game, right? Unless I'm getting this wrong, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the important part of the balance discussion. So first things first, Terran Cyclone. Mag field accelerator research time increased from 79 to 100 seconds. Mag field accelerator mode upgrade tooltip updated. Lock-on tooltip updated. Now, they mentioned in the previous, like the community update, kind of the reasonings behind some of these changes. And I think they've said that the proxy cyclones were good or something like that, or something to that extent. I mean, who was proxying cyclones and researching Macfield Accelerator? Who had time for that? It's like a minute and a half, right? Not taking into consideration that you're going to need to build a attack lab as well. I find this personally really weird. Cyclones with Macfield upgrade, you don't really see them against Protoss. Maybe in the late game if you're playing some kind of mech. You don't really see them in the early game at a high level. In TVT, I was playing around quite a bit with mech and like a Cyclone with Macfield Accelerator. I think the normal mech opening with Hellions is better, so the only place I could see this being a quote-unquote a problem in TV is TVZ with the battle mech. But the reason behind I find this weird is when you go battle mech against Zerg, you don't really rush out Macfield Accelerator, right? You don't really, that's not your timing, you know, to get it and go. You kind of open up with Hellions, and then later on you get Macfield Accelerator, which, you know, by the time you get it, it's not like, oh my god, I need to get it right now or I'm gonna die. It's just kind of like Blue Flame. You get it because it just gives you more damage. So I find this change really weird, to be completely honest. Not like, oh my god, it's terrible for Terran. It's just weird. That's all. So I don't really have any opinion other than that. Thor, high impact payload weapon, range increased from 10 to 11. Good old poor Thor. You just can't find the footing in the game. There's been so many changes in the game for Thor, and they're still changing it because it's a bad unit. I mean, it will be able to interact a lot better against ranged flying units, obviously, like Broodlords and carriers, and maybe even Tempest if you're able to hit them. But I just find it funny because Thor's been changed so many times, and they just keep pushing this narrative of we want to make it a massive flying unit killer. So this is obviously going to help it quite a bit. And we might see more Thors built against Zerg, especially because you don't want to make too many Vikings because of Parasitic Bomb and Fungal. And obviously those two skills don't affect Thors, but Vipers can go for stuff like the pulls, the yoinks to get the Thors, but also the Thor being 11 range can kind of, you know, deal with the Vipers much quicker as well. So it's definitely a buff for Terran. We'll see how it plays out in the games. I haven't personally tested this myself, so no idea how well it will work out in the games themselves, but on paper, it sounds pretty good for Terran, killing Broodlords, carriers, and so on. Battlecruiser. So there's been a lot of talk. Now, I personally have not tested Battlecruiser openings against Zerg too much. I literally maybe did 4 games in total, where you fast expand, you open Battlecruiser or 2, and then you blink across the map, you harass, you kill drones. You literally just go into the middle line and you kill drones. You use Yamato Cannon, one of the queens that has a lot of energy, and then you harass on the other side with the Hellions because all the queens are in the main base. So this is why this build has kind of become more popular. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience in playing it, but from Zerg point of view, I played against it quite a bit. And initially, I thought, how do you even stop this? And kind of more I played against it, I kind of learned how to deal with it, with, you know, kind of adding some extra spores. Even making 2 extra spores per base was worth it because the Battlecruisers were really expensive. So making extra spores is fine of an investment because the Terran is also investing a lot of minerals and gas into the Battlecruiser, into that tech in general. Just, you know, combined with a lot of queens, you did lose a couple of drones here and there, but I was able to kind of deal with it in the end, you know, the more games I've played. So I guess Blizzard has decided that it's too strong and they're nerfing the Yamato Cannon upgrade timing. So basically the way it worked before is when you made a Battlecruiser, after you start making it, you start upgrading Yamato Cannon. So when you blink, you have the Yamato Cannon already, you know, done. And then you can just Yamato the Queen. Well, now they increased that from 43 to 100 seconds. So you won't be having that Yamato Cannon straight away. So it is a nerf. I don't think it's a big nerf. And I thought this wouldn't be a big deal until I've discovered the second nerf. So you might be like, well, where's the second nerf? There's only one thing here. Well, for some reason, this nerf is a bug fix. Which I get it why it's a bug fix, but let's skip Zerg for now. Let's skip Protoss as well. Let's check this one out. Check this bad boy right here. This is bug fixes. Battlecruisers will now prioritize static defenses instead of workers. So this right here is way bigger nerf for Battlecruiser than the Yamato Cannon upgrade. So if you're not a Terran player, what does this mean? Well, pre this patch, what happened is when you had a Battlecruiser and you run it into the mineral line, it would target the queen and the drones first, and then if there's no queens and no drones, then it would attack the spore crawler. So you basically could move the Battlecruiser around, and it would kill the drones, and it would be great while spore was shooting at you. Well, now you're gonna have to manually target each drone in order to kill things with your Battlecruiser while moving. So you're gonna need to move, click drone, move, click drone, move, click drone, because if you move and click, it's gonna kill the drone and then go back to attacking this spore crawler. So this is actually a big nerf. I understand it is a bug fix because spore crawler should be prioritized because it is a defensive structure, and when you A move, it should attack the structures or units that are a threat to the said unit. But this is a big nerf in the in the grand scheme of things. This is a big nerf, and this one is much more important than the one that we see right here. I've talked about this before, and a lot of people, tag me as whining, but I just don't think they actually understand what I'm talking about. So this isn't the problem of balance, this nerf. This is a problem of game design, and this is something that I've talked about in the past. Nerfing something as far as numbers go is fine, but doing nerfs like this one will make it so the playstyle is not used at all. And I think that is a big problem in StarCraft that's been happening over the years. Nerfing units is great. They could have, changed something else. But when you change these two things, you're basically saying, well, if you want to open that, you can't. You have to wait longer. But if you wait longer, the opening is not worth it anymore. The only reason why opening is worth it now is because it hits early. So I don't know if post-patch this will still be used, this opening in TVZ, because it wasn't really used in any other matchup in TVP or TVT. So this was only a TVZ thing. And again, I don't mind the nerf. I think it was good against Zerg. I don't think it was imba. I think it was good, and it was just kind of another opening Terran can do. But doing these two changes kind of makes it so that we might not see it ever again at high level play. But it is what it is. Next thing, Zerg Infestor fungal growth tooltip updated. So this is basically just a tooltip update that now units that are affected by fungal growth will not be able to blink, tactical jump, or load into transports or buildings. This is something that existed in past patch, but they're just adding, text for it. Now, next thing, Ultralisk. Now this one is a yikes. Anabolic synthesis. Hope I didn't butcher that one. Upgrade now increases Ultralisk movement speed off of creep by 0.82. Up from 0.41. Now, I want to say straight away before someone calls me out, I don't have numbers on this, but I've been told that now you will not be able to stem and then kite shoot the Ultra anymore. I don't have the confirmation on this. I did not test this, but from what I've heard, you will not be able to stutter step against Ultras anymore without getting hit in the process of doing so. And this is off of creep. Again, we need to test this, but if that's the case, that's a big yoiks for Terrans. A big yoiks right there. I do think that Ultralisk needed some kind of buff because Broodlords are just better. Like, there's no way around it. Since the Marauder weapon damage reversion to what it is, to what it was, where the Marauder shot is not 2 shots but single one. Ultras have become much worse. Broodlords are just better units. They're safer, they're more defensive, while Ultras can get sniped very easily. I do agree that Ultras needed some kind of buff, but if this is true that Stim Bio cannot kite Ultralisks and Stutter Step, that is insane. I'll just go ahead and say that. Next thing, Nidus Network and Nidus Worm. Again, more changes to the Nidus Network. So what they're doing kind of makes sense in my opinion, and I actually 100% agree with this. So what they're doing is Nidus Worm health is increased from 200 to 300. Nidus Worm armor while emerging decreased from 6 to 5. And then Nidus Network and Nidus Worm initial unload delay decreased from 0.36 to 0.18. Nidus Network and Nidus Worm unload period changed from 0.36 to 0.18. And then the last thing, Nidus Network and Nidus Worm load period changed from 0.18 to 0.09. Now, what does this all mean? And why did they do this? Well, if you guys play against the Zerg, or you play Zerg and you do Nidus, or Zergs are doing Nidus to you, you probably notice one thing. If you are dealing with a Nidus Worm and you have Marines and SCVs, you're going to have impossible time to kill the Nidus. Why? Well, because the armor was 6, and even though the health is only 200, because SCVs and Marines will both do 0.5 damage per shot, you basically can't kill the Nidus. So it's either immune, or on the other spectrum, if there's like one Marauder, it will kill the Nidus, or one Stalker or a Zealot. It will kill the Nidus so easily because the armor doesn't really, the 6 armor doesn't affect the higher damaged units. So it's basically either super good against units that attack fast and have low damage, or it's super garbage against units that heal higher damage but shoot slower. So that's the reason why I like this change. It's basically kind of like Marines will deal some damage to it. It will still be hard to kill it because it now has 300 health, but it's also a buff against armored units because this 1 armor less will not affect Nidus's defense against armored units, but the extra 100 health will help quite a bit. Because honestly, I think Nidus now, I don't even remember the last time I saw Nidus. It's just shit. I mean, you kill it so fast in most situations, whether you're, Terran or the Zerg or Protoss. When you face Nidus, it's super easy to kill it. All you need is like 1 unit that deals bonus damage against armored, and it will go down. So I like this change. It makes sense. And I think watching Niduses in pro gaming is also a lot of fun, whether it's early game or late game. Now, another thing they did is they buffed the load and unload period from the Nidus. So when you put the units into the Nidus, you guys probably notice there's like a tiny delay. So not all the units go in at once. They kind of go one by one. And also the same thing when you unload units, they don't really come out instantly. There's kind of like mini delay after each unit goes out of the Nidus. So now they're basically halving that to 0.16, so it's kind of like more responsive, and I think their explanation is to feel more smooth, which again, I don't have any problems with. I think Nidus needed a buff, so thumbs up for me. Protoss. Alright, so this is... Okay, so first things first. For those who maybe are not aware, maybe you're not Protoss, maybe you're not Terran. There's been a build that's become very popular, and this is the build I've been using on my stream a lot against Terran when I play Protoss. And when I play Terran against Protoss, I hate this build, which is why I love doing this build when I play Protoss. So the build is you go Gateway on your natural base before you expand, and then you go Cybercore before you expand. So the reason you do that is you can get faster Adept, and you basically chrono boost the first Adept across the map. You ignore the Reaper because you can chrono boost another unit back at your base to defend the Reaper. And the whole purpose of that first Adept is to go and kill the SCV building the CC on the low ground. So, there's been discussion like, can't Terrans just make CC on the high ground? At pro level, that is too much of a... not hassle, but just it's gonna put you behind basically. Even if you put the CC on a higher ground, the Adept is going to be on the low ground, your CC on the natural is going to be so delayed, your risk of Adept getting into your base with shading, and it's a very good build for Protoss, and it kind of feels, it's really weird to deal with it. Let's just go with that. Now, the change they're doing is gateway build time increased from 27 seconds to 30 seconds. Warp in time or cooldown, sorry, remains unchanged. So they're doing this change solely for what I just said. It literally does not affect PvZ at all. Obviously, it's a small nerf, but you know, it's not gonna affect any specific timings in PvZ. Now, when I saw this, my initial reaction was, well, I don't know about this, right? Like, is it really gonna change anything? So if you do some math, you know, together with Chrono Boost, you will see that even without Chrono Boost, make it 3 seconds, it will not slow down the Adept by too much. Now, I want to say that this depends on the map you're playing on. Some maps, if the map is smaller, you arrive at the Terran natural base way before the CC is close to being done. It's like 70% done, and you arrive and you can cancel. So in those kinds of maps, these 3 seconds will not matter. The result will be the same. But on bigger maps, when you Chrono Boost an Adept and you send it across the map, you arrive just at the end. So on those maps, this change will be, you know, obviously a nerf to this Protoss build, but on smaller maps, this will not change anything. Now, I thought about how can Protoss go around this, right? How can you still annoy Terran while doing this build? Well, you can do stuff like, instead of making the gateway on your natural, you can make it on your third base or just below your third base. So it's still kind of in proximity of your own base, but it's proxied far enough that it negates those 3 seconds and you can still cancel the Terran command center or just cause a lot of trouble, which I think is worth it. Obviously, there are some risks with, you know, Terran going and killing that pylon at the gateway, but again, you're not proxying on their side of the map, you're going to proxy your own third base, basically just closer to your opponent. So that's one way to go around this. The smaller maps, nothing will be changed because 3 seconds is not enough. But I'm actually curious how at the pro level, Korean level, or WCS level, if the Protosses are going to try to go around this with this kind of proxy forward gateway that I just mentioned, or they will just use it in the smaller maps and just stop doing it on bigger maps. That's something we have to wait and see. Now, next change, cybernetic score. Warp gate research time decreased from 114 seconds to 100 seconds. All right. Not sure what this is about. Again, I read the explanations for each one of these, and I remember reading it and kind of it didn't make a lot of sense to me. So they're just straight up buffing Chrono Boost, or sorry, Warp Gate research time by 14 seconds. And I'm sure a lot of Protoss players are like, okay, I'll take it. I mean, maybe there's some potential for like 1 base 4 gates, maybe. I definitely see players trying it out and see how it works. But it will basically just be faster defense no matter what matchup you play, PvP, PvZ, or PvT. You'll have 14 seconds faster warp gate. So, for example, in PvP, you would see Protoss players often drop 1 chrono on the warp gate. Well, now you can use that chrono boost on something else. Same thing for other matchups. If you're dealing with Terran drops, your warp gate is going to arrive a little bit quicker, and it's going to allow you to almost but not really get another extra warping in there. So, I mean, cool. It's a buff. I'm pretty sure that Protoss players will be happy. Now, the next change is the Stalker. I keep tapping the top and it keeps popping up. Stalker. Now, this is the one from me playing Protoss. I'm just like, nice. I will take it. So, I actually remember the explanation for this one. And the explanation was, we want Twilight Council opening to be more viable in PvP, which it is already viable. I don't really understand the reasoning for that. They said there's a lot of Stargate openings, and this will kind of push Protosses to do more Blink openings, which again, because it's kind of like, rock, paper, scissors. Because the meta is, 70% Stargate, more and more people are doing blink openings because you're kind of blind countering the probabilities of running into Stargate. So people are already doing blink in PvP, but one of the things they said is this is to help Protoss players deal with Stargate. And also they want to see more blink-oriented and robo-oriented play in PvZ. I personally don't think that this is going to be it for PvZ to see more blink builds. I would actually love, because as a spectator, I loved seeing in Heart of the Swarm blink sentry timings in PvZ. I thought they were really fun to watch, and they were super frustrating for Zergs to deal with, but I thought they were fun to watch. So yeah, they're just gonna go from 150 on the research to 100. Now the funny part in all of this, or the sad part, is in PvT this does not help the matchup that a lot of people are complaining about. Again, I don't play Terran as my main race anymore. I've been playing only Protoss and random for the past 6 months, and I've said this for a long time, and I'll say it again. PvT is very Protoss favored, and it forces Terran to do 2 base all-ins if you want to have the highest chance of winning. So by researching blink research having cost reduced by 50/50, it will only help the Protoss. And I understand this is not what they wanted, but you're gonna have to take into consideration these kinds of things when you're doing balance changes. Now we're gonna move into the next thing. The Robo facility cost decreased from 200/100 to 150/100. So the reason for this was they want the Protoss to rely more on observers to scout, which you guys are gonna see later on as well. And yeah, they're just making it cheaper, more accessible. Now, if you compare these numbers and these numbers, and then you do some math right here, you're gonna see that you can get an extra unit, maybe like a sentry if you wait a little bit with the gas. You have 50 extra gas here, and then you have 50 extra minerals and another 50 extra minerals from here. So it's basically you're given in PvT, PvZ, and PvP an extra 100 mineral and 50 gas early into the game. But there's some trade-off. Let's move to the next one. Immortal. Cost increase from 250/100 to 275/100. Now, PvP and PvT, I don't think this is a big deal. Obviously, it is a nerf. Let's not say it's not. You do have faster robo, so you're better off defensively. You do have faster blink or cheaper blink as well. But your immortals are more expensive by 25 minerals. Now, this might not seem like a big deal. It is a nerf, but it is a big deal in PvZ. In PvZ, you see a lot of glaive openings or Stargate openings, double Stargate openings into double robo. And the reason why this is problematic, well, you're going to be producing 2 immortals at a time, so each rotation of the immortals is 50 extra minerals. So you only need to make 4 immortals to overcome this cost for the double robo, if that makes sense, because 4 immortals are now going to cost 100 minerals more expensive, and the robo is cheaper, 50 minerals. Having 2 robos, that's 100 minerals. So after you finish making 4 immortals, all the next immortals are basically coming at an extra cost. So in my opinion, this is a big deal in PvZ, not so much in PvP and PvT, because you will not be making 10 plus immortals in those matchups most likely. Perhaps PvP, but it is a mirror matchup, so it's not gonna do too much. But in PvT in general, you don't have an army with like 10 immortals or so it won't change much there. But you do get faster robo, which is pretty cool together with the blink. Now, I mentioned that they said they want to make a robo scouting more of a thing, because now the only scouting from Protoss in all the matchups you see is either Oracle scouting or it's a centric hallucination scouting, and they've said that we want to make robo scouting a thing. This is why the robo facility cost was reduced, and this is also why they're buffing the movement speed from the observers from 2.63 to 301, so you can get faster across the map and kind of not have the observer just as a detector, but also as an actual scouting thing that can go across the map pretty fast and see what you need to see. Gravitic Boosters upgrade now increases as the Observer Speed upgrade. Increases speed by 1.51 up from 1.31, so it's going to be even faster. I can't imagine how fast that is because it's already pretty quick when you upgrade them. Now this is a big yikes. Oracle removed the light attribute, added the armor attribute. So, okay, so for those that were maybe not aware, Oracle before this patch was light. Which means because it's a flying unit, not many units actually dealt bonus damage to it. Phoenixes dealt bonus damage to Oracles, that's why you see Phoenixes destroy Oracle completely. But other than that, not many units in the game deal bonus light that shoot up. So why is this a yikes? Well, guess what units shoot in the air quite a bit that deal bonus against armored? Yep, a lot of ground units in the game. A lot of ground units and flying units. So first things first, a unit like Viking will destroy Oracles now because it's going to deal bonus damage because Vikings do bonus damage against armored, Oracle is armored. Then you have Stalkers doing bonus damage against armored together with the blink buff. You kind of wonder, well, why would I open Stargate if it's just going to get absolutely destroyed? And then, don't forget Cyclones, that when they lock on, they deal bonus damage to armored units. So, they already counter Oracles pretty well. So, if they lock onto an Oracle now, they will obliterate it. And I'm not sure about this change, to be honest. I see what they want to do with it. They want to kind of, you know, get the Stargate play to not be as popular anymore in PvP. But again, it's kind of being heavily countered in the other matchup, and then I feel it doesn't create problems, it doesn't solve problems, it removes playstyles. Kind of like the thing that I mentioned earlier with Battlecruiser. I don't like this change personally. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I mean, you know, Stalkers are pretty much the core unit in PvP. Why would you make an Oracle? Viking opening in a TVP is a thing if Terran is playing defensive, plus a Cyclone opening is very, very popular after expanding to just kind of keep safe. So you won't be able to touch the worker line most likely, but you will still be able to use Oracles for Revelation and Stasis Traps. Next thing, and the last thing as far as balance changes go, Tempest movement speed increased from 3.5 to 3.15. Acceleration increased from 2.8 to 2.1. Now, as someone that loves playing Protoss, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it before this patch. I've said this before. Protoss Tempests are broken. Like, they're super quick. They're extremely annoying to deal with no matter what race you play. They're just obnoxious. They're too fast. The range is too long. The damage is pretty good, and I felt like they didn't have a weakness. Their weakness was health, right? If you get on top of them, they just kind of explode. So if a player was microing Tempest properly, you would have very hard time killing them. Now, the reason for that is because of the Tempest movement speed. That was OP. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, guys. It was too good. But I don't like this change. Why? Because you basically have all the unit stats around Tempest are, this is a long range unit that is quick, deals good damage, but is super vulnerable, right? Like that's the weakness. And I always talk about this when I talk about game design. Every unit has to have a weakness, a weak point, and it has to be something that's good at. Now, by removing the movement speed, you're removing the strength of the Tempest. And basically it won't be able to kite units. From what I've seen, it will not be able to kite Vikings. Vikings destroy Tempests so easily. So I actually agree with this nerf, but I think it should be compensated with something. They should have given it more health. They should have given it, I don't know, some kind of barrier so it doesn't make it so they can get, you know, one shot by a volley. They should have given it something to make it so that you're not just flying garbage that is actually not fast enough to outrun the more armored and beefy boys. It is also quite big nerf to the speed. It's not very low. I don't know how exactly it plays out in the games, but from what I've seen and heard, the Vikings are able to catch up to them. And if Vikings can catch up to them, then you're going to have to be much more careful to the Tempest. Again, I agree with this change as far as nerfing the movement speed. I thought the Tempest were ridiculous moving that quick, but I would have liked to see maybe like a 50 health buff on the Tempest to kind of compensate for that, so that even if you do get hit, which it will happen with this movement speed, it's not as severe and it gives you a little bit extra kind of space and health to work with, if that makes sense. I'd actually love to hear your guys' opinion on this, because Tempest being OP has been discussion for a while now with its range and movement speed, so let me know what you think. Now, there's a bunch of bug fixes from campaign, from versus, and from maps, and the UI, like this important one, fixed the text for Fear Dragon's portrait. I mean, that's what we've been kind of hoping for, and I'm sure Fear Dragon is extremely happy about this one. Now, I love Fear Dragon, I'm just messing. Now, last thing I wanted to talk about is the, let me see where it is, which is actually a huge thing, and I'm 100% for it, right here, bug fix. Eggs will no longer block the optimal placement of a hatchery after being destroyed. So, Zergs out there, we did it, you did it, everyone did it. So this is something that existed from Wings of Liberty, and it's just obnoxious. It's not balanced or not balanced, it's not anything, it's just obnoxious if you're a Zerg player. So for those who maybe are not aware what this is, when a Zerg hatchery dies and when you have a larva left over, if you make something from the larva, an egg will spawn, right, to make that unit. But then you won't be able to place the hatchery because the egg is counting as a blocker. So you have to wait for the unit to finish from the larva so you can place down your hatchery. This was just straight up obnoxious and annoying. So I'm really glad that they're fixing this finally, so that even if your hatchery is destroyed, you make a unit that turns into a egg, you can just place the hatchery anyway. So thumbs up from me. This is just, like I said, if you're a Zerg player, you're probably super annoyed by this and probably wondered many times why it's in the game anyway. But that will be it for me, guys. That's it. Oh. Just messing. Hold on. One thing I wanted to mention is DeepMind. Almost forgot. Woo, professional YouTuber, by the way. So, DeepMind, for those who don't know, is the company, or I don't know if they're company or team, whatever, that created AlphaGo. In the popular Go game, the AI that defeated the world champion. You guys have probably heard about it, unless you lived under a potato for the past couple of years. And basically, DeepMind for a while now has been creating an AI to compete against StarCraft 2 pro gamers. They said it's a long process, and they're working together with Blizzard. And there will be a demonstration this Thursday at 6 p.m. GMT, which is, I think, 7 p.m. CET, 1 p.m. Eastern NA time. And then, I'm doing conversions right here. And then 10 West Coast time, I think, 10 a.m. Anyway, so you can follow it with, it's going to be hosted by Artosis in Rotterdam, live stream on YouTube. Here's the link right here. And they're just kind of going to give an update how everything is going. And a lot of people have been speculating, how is it going to be? I mean, it's going to go 3 ways, right? I haven't read too much into it. I just know that DeepMind is creating that, and I wanted to give you guys an update if you want to kind of watch it and check it out. But I think this will go one of the 3 ways, right? One, it will be completely done and everyone will be amazed, which is, I think, the least likely. I'm going to give it a 1% for that. Number 2, it's going to show us some basic gameplay where you can execute a build order, like 3 racks of one base and push across the map and do some basic micro, which I would give about 20% chance of happening, and then 40 79% chance left. I am pretty sure this will be extremely basic of DeepMind, just kind of sending workers to mine minerals, placing the barracks, or placing the gateway. Something super simple, like unit commands moving left and right, auto attacking, unit targeting. I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna be doing, because if this was a official launch, this would have been way more hyped. So I'm gonna hold on to the hype and getting overhyped for it until I see it. But I'm pretty sure it's just kind of showing off for the first time how it looks like and what they plan to do with it, and kind of lead us into the whole DeepMind thing, and hopefully give an announcement date if they know and when the whole thing will unveil against pro players. But that is it for me today, for real. Let me know what you think about DeepMind. Are you going to tune in? Do humans stand a chance against AI? I think they do. If they limit the APM, they do. For the AI. If the AI has 10,000 APM, then humans are dead. But let me know what you think about, more importantly, the patch, about all these changes, whether it's the WCS Game Heart mod, whether it's the Terran, Zerg, or the Protoss changes. Again, this patch is live on 22nd of January on NA, which is going to be yesterday for you guys watching on YouTube. And then 23rd of January for EU. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I want you to have a great day. Like always, check me out on Twitch at 7 PM CET every single day. And then on 27th of January, we're having a promotion. Blizzard is doing a promotion of my stream together with Twitch. So make sure to tune in then. But for now, once again, have a great day. And I'll catch you guys with another video tomorrow. Have a good one. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and make sure to check out one of my previous videos. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a very nice day, and I'll see you guys next time.